is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith has publicly challenged Floyd Mayweather for downplaying Terence Crawford after his historic victory over Canelo Alvarez, arguing that Crawford achieved something unprecedented by becoming undisputed in multiple weight divisions. Smith emphasized that Crawford earned every inch of his legacy through skill, risk, and dominance, insisting his triumph over Canelo wasn't just another win, but a defining moment that elevated him among the sport's all-time greats. He made it clear that no amount of negativity from Mayweather could overshadow the magnitude of Crawford's accomplishment, calling for universal respect for what Crawford has achieved.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet right now. Pound for pound, he's that guy. In the 4-belt era, he's become an undisputed world champion 3 times over, first at 140 LEBs, then at 147, and now at 168 pounds, claiming every belt. It's extremely rare to see a fighter move up in weight like that and dominate opponents who are perceived as bigger and stronger. Against Canelo, Crawford showed he was not only strong enough to fend him off, but also powerful enough to earn his respect. He controlled the fight with his jab, his distance, and his ability to dictate every exchange.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, it kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Jeff Mayweather expressed strong views about the shot Crawford handed to Canelo, emphasizing that the defeat will always leave a mark on Canelo's legacy. He explained that Canelo was the undisputed king of that division, holding both status and dominance over his opponents. Yet he suffered a humbling loss to someone who dared to move up in weight and challenge him in his own castle. For Jeff, this was not a small blemish, but a lasting stain that will permanently sit alongside Canelo's name in boxing history. He highlighted how champions in their prime are remembered for defining moments. And Canelo's defining moment turned out to be a devastating loss to Crawford.
This was Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because he only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence "Bud" Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Stephen A. Smith was in awe of Crawford's victory and did not hold back his admiration, emphasizing that being present for such a historic moment made the win even more personal for him. According to Smith, nobody in the history of boxing has accomplished what Terence Crawford just achieved, moving up in weight to defeat a dominant champion like Canelo in such convincing fashion. He called it a career-defining achievement that sets Crawford apart from the rest, ensuring this night will live forever in the sport's rich history. For Smith, it was not just a fight, but a monumental shift in how greatness is defined in boxing.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who was one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
For Crawford's trainer made it very clear after the fight that his fighter had nothing more to prove, stating that Terence has reached a point where respect should be unquestioned. Yet, some critics still refuse to give it, highlighting the reality that even after dismantling one of the greatest names in boxing, Crawford continues to battle narratives outside the ring. His trainer emphasized that Terence is not even thinking about another fight right now, because what he accomplished against Canelo is more than enough to cement his greatness. For Crawford, this was never about chasing names anymore. It was about establishing a legacy that cannot be denied.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Bradley gave perhaps one of the boldest assessments by comparing Crawford directly with Floyd Mayweather, arguing that Crawford's name now belongs at the very top of any greatest of all time conversation. For Bradley, this was not simply about Crawford beating Canelo, but about redefining the very essence of what pound-for-pound #1 truly means. He stressed that while Floyd may have mastered the art of boxing during his era, Crawford just proved he can do it at an even higher level by taking on and defeating Canelo at his strongest. In Bradley's eyes, this win elevated Crawford into an entirely new realm where only the absolute legends of the sport exist.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does, and the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it, and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them.
Roy Jones Jr. offered a measured perspective, pointing out that unlike when Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo years ago, this time both fighters were in their prime. He explained that Floyd had the advantage of facing a young, less experienced Canelo, which allowed him to outbox him with superior skill and ring IQ. In contrast, Crawford faced a fully mature and seasoned version of Canelo, the same fighter who had dominated his division for years. Despite being naturally smaller, Crawford still managed to dismantle him. For Roy, this fact alone makes Crawford's achievement extraordinary, as he overcame a Canelo who was far stronger, wiser, and sharper than the one Mayweather faced.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense. Went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs. You know, hitting him with the head and the body. The little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.
Duke McKenzie was stunned by what he saw in the ring. In his view, Canelo had no answers for Crawford's relentless pressure, speed, and precision. He described the performance as unbelievable and incredible, calling it one of the most complete displays ever witnessed in modern boxing. McKenzie highlighted that Crawford not only became undisputed, but also proved himself to be practically unbeatable against even the toughest of opponents. His tone carried a mix of awe and respect, as he made it clear that Crawford has set a standard so high that very few fighters, if any, will ever reach it.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see that those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, three-division undisputed. He wanted to go up, he wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money, that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retires.
Trainer Robert Garcia gave one of the strongest endorsements of Crawford's greatness by arguing that he has achieved more than Floyd Mayweather in this particular context. He pointed out that Crawford convincingly won 9 to 10 rounds against Canelo and displayed a relentless hunger that Mayweather never attempted at such a high-risk level. Garcia stressed that Floyd never took the challenge of moving up and dominating a bigger champion in this manner, making Crawford's win unique and historic. For Garcia, this was not just about numbers or belts. It was about daring to take risks and succeeding, which is what separates legends from icons.
So I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against McCremoff or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras as
well,
right?
Different eras, different. It's a lot of things. You can't.
And Brian Norman. Senior left no room for doubt when he declared that Terence Crawford's dismantling of Canelo Alvarez was far more punishing than anything Floyd Mayweather had ever delivered, cutting straight to the reality of what unfolded inside the ring as Canelo, long regarded as the king of his division, wasn't simply beaten but systematically broken down by a man who had climbed 2 weight classes to face him. Crawford's performance became a masterclass that redefined the meaning of greatness in modern boxing, shattering the aura of a champion who for years had ruled the super middleweight division as the face of the sport, fought the biggest names, cemented his status as one of the most marketable champions of the era, and seemed nearly untouchable with his heavy combinations and calculated pressure. Yet in one night, Crawford didn't just edge him on the scorecards, but completely outclassed him and left him searching for answers that never came.